The first half of Ohio State's season is already over. Can you guys believe that we're already halfway through the college football season? It's just flown by so fast. But Ohio State, in their first road game of the year, Stroud throws 6 touchdowns, and the Buckeyes roll Sparty in the first road game of the year in East Lansing. A question that I'm going to progressively answer as this video goes along. Can anybody stop this team? And from the looks of it right now, Ohio State may be the only team out there that has shown fewer weaknesses, right? Alabama looks vulnerable. They didn't have Bryce Young today in that game against Texas A&M. By the way, crazy finish there in that game. Georgia has looked vulnerable in previous weeks, and wasn't able to watch a lot of the game. I watched a little bit of the game. Again, I was working a lot of different sporting events around campus. If you saw my community tab post, you already know about that. But again, Bama's looked vulnerable. Georgia has looked vulnerable. I'll talk more about that towards the end of the video. But right now, let's talk about this Ohio State team and what they did to secure the win in this game. And it started off really, really well. A pick in the end zone on Michigan State's first drive. Ohio State drives down and scores. Michigan State forces the punt. Everything's looking good. And then Ohio State fans, I, for one, did not get worried when this happened, but some Ohio State fans out there may have had an uh-oh moment. And C.J. Stroud and Emeka Egbuka just had the worst miscommunication possible, right? C.J. Stroud thought Emeka was going to run a slant fade kind of towards the sideline, outside the hashes, outside of the numbers, I do believe, if I'm remembering that correctly. And Emeka had it as a fly, kept running straight, and the defensive back read it the whole way through in his arms, and no one between him and the goal line, pick 6. That really was kind of the only thing that Michigan State was able to muster up today, as their defense got torched for the second straight year against this Buckeye offense. And this defense, the secondary still has a lot to work on. C.J. Stroud, total QBR today was 98.8, 21 of 26, 361 yards, 6 touchdowns, and of course the pick 6 that I just talked about. Again, not really sure if it was C.J. Stroud who had the wrong route in his playbook, or if it was Emeka Egbuka not knowing what route he was supposed to run. That I am unsure of. Some of you may be able to let me know down in the comment section below which one actually came to, or which one it actually was. But Stroud, very, very good game. He made some ridiculous throws in this one. And Marvin Harrison made some ridiculous catches. He had 7 catches, 131 yards, 3 touchdowns on the day. Wasn't the Buckeyes' leading receiver, though. Emeka Egbuka, 5 catches, 143 yards, and a touchdown. If you remember, Ohio State fans that have been on this channel for a long time, me talking about how I think Emeka Egbuka can be a breakout player. And especially with the injury to Jackson Smith and Jigba, we've had to have some of these younger wide receivers step up and make some plays. Emeka has been that guy right there. I think people knew that Marvin Harrison was going to be good. Once Julian Fleming got back from injury, he's been a solid piece there as well. But number 2, Emeka Egbuka has been a workhorse for this team, and his breakout campaign is coming to fruition very, very nicely. Speaking of Fleming, 4 catches, 81 yards, and a touchdown for him. Cade Stover had a couple catches there as well in this game. And the expectation is that Jackson Smith and Jigba is fully 100% healthy and ready to go before that game against Iowa on October 22nd. Ohio State, their bye week, of course, is next week. Get an extra week of rest. But continuing to talk about this game, Travion Henderson, 19 carries, 118 yards, 1 touchdown. He had a really good day there as well. Only a run of 26 was his long, but without Mayan Williams, Travion Henderson looked very, very good. Travion Henderson looked ridiculously good, an average of 6.2 yards per carry there for Travion. Dallin Hayden, the true freshman, 14 carries, 70 yards, an average of 5 yards per carry. Wasn't able to punch it in to the end zone, but man, is he going to be a special back once he gets his turn as the lead back in that backfield. Let's talk about this Ohio State defense. Hey, something that I have been telling you guys for for the past couple of weeks now, Ohio State's defense. If I still had one question about this team, it was on the defensive side, and it was, we're getting good pressure on the quarterback. We're forcing them to get out of the pocket, having to make some pretty risky throws, but we have not been able to get the quarterback down. We haven't been able to generate sacks this year. This game, 4 sacks. Ohio State is starting to turn that corner and now has 2 weeks to prepare for an Iowa offense that Ohio State, realistically, on that defensive end, should be able to feast on, right? Should be able to absolutely just go nuts in that regard. 4 sacks, 5 tackles for loss. Tommy Eichenberg, good game. Ronnie Hickman, a good game. You want to know someone who didn't have a very good game, though? Cam Brown. Cam Brown had a lot of penalties in this game. He showed his frustration on the sideline by slamming his helmet down. Cam Brown just had a very, very, very off game. Some blown coverages. Pass interferences. Cam Brown is definitely going to get his act together. He's too good of a defensive back not to clean up his game. But this, again, was a poor performance. So, and again, you can even look to that there as well. This secondary definitely can still use some work. And when you look back at performances in pretty much every Ohio State game so far, there's always been 1 or 2 guys on the defensive end, usually guys in the secondary, that have just had an off game. I really have yet to see Ohio State's defensive backs put it all together nicely, maybe since the Notre Dame game when we played really well there. Because besides allowing that first play long run, Ohio State held Notre Dame really, really well defensively. But this is a good defensive team. We are so much more improved, that we are so much better than we were last year, and it's not even close. It is just not even close how improved this team really is. So, hey, this is an Ohio State team that you have to fear, because this defense is so much better, and now it's finally, sorry, my nose is really itchy for some reason. It's finally starting to get pressure in the quarterback room, or it's been getting pressure in the quarterback room, excuse me. It's finally being able to bring down the quarterback behind the line, finally able to generate those results in the backfield there as well. Michael Hall led the way, 2.5 sacks for this team earlier today. And, this Ohio State defense was great. This Ohio State offense was clicking on all cylinders. And I definitely thought that Michigan State was going to be an opponent coming in here that could give Ohio State some fits. Peyton Thorne did not have his best game, 11 of 18, 113 yards, a touchdown, and a pick there as well. Ohio State, harking back on that defense I just talked about a moment ago, held Michigan State to 7 rushing yards and around 0.4 yards per carry. In fact, their longest run was 8 yards, and that was by the quarterback, Peyton Thorne. Collins, 9 yards. Broussard, 8 yards. Berger, 7 yards. Simmons, 6 yards. And then with sack yardage, Peyton Thorne had minus 23 rushing yards. The wide receiver room, Jaden Reed ended up catching a touchdown, as did Foster. Foster caught his touchdown in the fourth quarter in garbage time. But this Ohio State team is ridiculous. It is scary. It is just all sorts of insane this year, right? 29-12 first downs. Ohio State, not their best third down. Not their best day on third down, I will say. 5 of 11, although they were 2 for 2 on fourth down. 614 yards of total offense, only 202 for Michigan State. Ohio State played a pretty clean game there as well. 4 penalties for only 49 yards. And Ohio State also held the ball for 37 minutes in this game. And that's something you don't really see from Ohio State. We're blowing teams out, but it's a lot of quick offense. Well, Ohio State's defense did a really nice job of keeping Michigan State off of the field. Michigan State's scoring drives were 3 minutes and 40 seconds. I'm trying to find their other scoring drives here. 3 minutes and 10 seconds. And then the interception touchdown there as well. So, and for the rest of the drives, I'm looking at the drive chart now. Ohio State held Michigan State to under 2 minutes in most of the other drives in this game, although they did run off about 5 minutes on a punt drive. I believe that was in the first quarter, and yeah, it was. But Look, this is an Ohio State team, much improved defensively. Stroud was fantastic today. If he's not your Heisman winner halfway point through the year, maybe it goes to Jalen Daniels at Kansas. He got hurt today, and Kansas unfortunately did lose that game. So hopefully Jalen Daniels is okay. And Kansas is going to be a really competitive team in the Big 12 this year. C.J. Stroud just played like the best player in America up to this point. He is making some really, really nice throws. And even on days that he has an off day, and C.J. Stroud goes to the press table and says, this performance was on me. I wasn't really feeling myself today, and I definitely have to improve some in my game. He still had a really, really good stat line. I would love to see QBR numbers after this week. It may favor C.J. Stroud now because Daniels got hurt, which is unfortunate. But C.J. Stroud, again, a near perfect quarterback rating in this game today. So overall, this Ohio State team, though, there are still a couple things that I want to look at. Again, defensively, we generated 4 sacks today. I want to be able to see Ohio State's defense do that next week against Iowa as well. Iowa's offensive line has struggled this year. Spencer Petras has one of the worst QBRs in the entire nation. This is an Iowa offense that cannot move the football, so Ohio State's defense should feast. But also, this is an Iowa defense that is one of the best defenses in the nation, one of the best scoring defenses in the nation there as well. They have a really good secondary. It's going to be able to test C.J. Stroud and these wide receivers. But the expectation going into next week is that Mayan Williams is back healthy, so we'll have Travion Henderson and Mayan Williams in the backfield, and that Jackson Smith-Njigba is finally ready to get back on the football field. Not next week, in 2 weeks against Iowa, as again, we have that bye week in there. But let's answer the question up here. And again, you obviously see my bias. You see the shirt I'm wearing. You see the backdrop behind me. Heck, you see the title above your screen. You obviously know where my bias lands, but I'm going to be unbiased for 1 second. Can anybody stop this Ohio State team? And the obvious answer is yes. There are teams that can give Ohio State its respective challenges, right? Alabama, Georgia, when they are playing at their best, those are really, really hard teams to beat. Tennessee is a team that is playing really good football right now. USC, if they can get in to the college football playoff, that's going to be a tough team to face, especially a tough challenge for this Ohio State defense. Penn State and Michigan, a couple teams within this conference and that are on Ohio State's schedule, are looking really good right now, and those are both top 10 teams at this point. So this is still an Ohio State team that's got some work to do, still is not fully healthy yet, especially in the offensive skill corps and in the defensive secondary. Got some injuries back there as well that guys are still trying to heal back from. But honestly, everyone on the field right now is playing really, really, just really, really well. In all honesty, Ohio State at this point in time may very well be the best team in America right now. I know Georgia looked really, really good today. And Auburn had its struggles with Texas A&M, although Bryce Young was not that quarterback. I know that's the thing some people pay attention to, but injuries are part of the game. So, this is going to be a really interesting second half because Ohio State had a lot of tests in the first half of the season. Of course, that first game to Notre Dame where you won by 11. Your next 2 games, they win handedly before the big game, the Big Ten opener against Wisconsin, which Ohio State was able to win. Then you have the big win against Rutgers there as well. And then you go on the road for the first time this year, and it looks like the same Ohio State team throughout the first 5 weeks, if not probably the best performance that this offense has had up to this point, maybe besides that game against Toledo, which was just a ridiculous offensive outburst. But this was a very good game for Ohio State. I do not have a lot of complaints at all. I just want to see that this pass rush get consistent, and again, get consistent pressure in bringing down the quarterback in the backfield, and I want to see this team get healthy. Again, injuries definitely plague a team, especially when you get later in the season. This is an Ohio State team that still has some health problems going around there as well. I want to see Ohio State get healthy, get Jackson Smith-Njigba back, have both of those running backs healthy at the exact same time. That secondary get healthy and get a little bit cleaner in their play there as well. And Ohio State, this is one of the best teams in America. I think they've proven that through the first 6 weeks. And this is just going to be a scary, dangerous team. Previewing the games down the line. Again, you got Iowa, which is going to be a good test for this Ohio State offense. And then you have on the road against Penn State, October 29th. That is going to be a very, very fun game to watch. A game that should be played at nighttime, should be the whiteout game, although it's not. Penn State is using their whiteout on Minnesota the week before, on October 22nd there, I do believe. But, hey, this is going to be a very, very interesting back half, because if you look in the back half, again, you have Iowa, who's a good defensive team. You have Penn State, who is just a really good all-round team there as well. Northwestern on the road. Never count out Pat Fitzgerald, although they have not looked great so far this year at all. Indiana, same thing. Haven't looked terribly great this year, and the Buckeyes are back home for that game. On the road at Maryland is a game that I think is starting to scare me more and more, especially with the way that Maryland has been playing. Now Purdue was able to beat them this week, but again, I think Purdue's a really, really good team there as well. I think they're a much better team than they have been given credit for up to this point in the season. So for Maryland, again, that's going to be a big test for the defense as well, because Maryland is a team that loves to air it out, loves the passing attack. Maryland's a team that can spread you out and throw the ball really well with Tagovailoa there at quarterback. Then, of course, the game against Michigan at the end of the year there as well. And Michigan has struggled in their past couple of performances, so we'll see what happens here with the Wolverines in the coming week. In fact, 2 teams on Ohio State's schedule have a big game coming up next weekend, Penn State and Michigan. That's the big noon kickoff game on Fox. Man, is that going to be a fun game to watch there as well. But I'm going to leave it at that. It was a valiant effort from Sparty, but really from start to finish, there was no doubt that Ohio State was going to roll in this game. The Buckeyes win 49-20 in the first road game of the year. Could this be the #1 team in America? I think we're going to find out here over Ohio State's next couple of games, and definitely through this back half of the schedule, whether this Ohio State team is really one of, if not the top team in America. But I'm going to go and leave it at that. That was probably a terrible way to end off. But look, this Ohio State team is one of the best teams in the nation. I'm not denying that. But this back half of the schedule, I think, is really going to prove a lot of things that we may already be thinking about this Ohio State team. Appreciate you guys for tuning in. I'm sorry this video got posted so late. Again, I was busy today. Reviews and updates and everything like that should be back to normal next week. As I am going home, I'll be able to sit and enjoy the football without having to deal with much elsewhere. So I really appreciate you guys tuning in. If you are an Ohio State fan, encourage you to hit the subscribe button. I do one of these after every single game, so no Ohio State fan reaction after next week. And also, if you are not an Ohio State fan, but you did enjoy my thoughts in this video and you just enjoy hearing me or whatever the case might be, I post regular college football videos as well. Make sure you hit that subscribe button so you are updated on the news around college football. Until then, remember to play hard but tailgate harder. I will see all you guys in the next video. Goodbye.